I guess the question, Leslie, is what's legal and what's not, what looks good and what looks bad, and how that plays politically.
Politically, yes, but with voters, no. Because what do voters say? And we're seeing a lot of the MAGA base turning on the president with this, because they're saying, look, he really doesn't care about us. He's getting richer. I'm getting poorer.
I'm glad someone said it, and I'm glad they said it on Fox, of all places.
I thought, we elected him because he was going to make life better for us and better for the American people, whether they're Democrat or Republican, whether they supported Donald Trump or not, is a more affordable life. And that's just not what's going to happen. I have to say, as a Democrat, I hope we don't, when we get into power, spend the next years just investigating, because there's so much already that has to be undone and also has to be done to help the American people.
Not to interrupt, but do you think that this is in part fueling some of the populism in the democratic socialist movement?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons it's successful. And I think also it just speaks to, again, and I'm sorry to say it again, how tone deaf this president and this administration is to the American people. The American people look and say, look, this guy is profiting as president. That is not what I elected him to do.
Even Trump's MAGA base is unhappy with him because they thought, wrongly, obviously, and why they believed his lies, I have no idea, that Trump was going to do something about the economy. Because Biden, he did a lot for the economy. I mean, between the Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS Act, but a lot of that hadn't fully been realized. It was going to still take some time for those companies to exist and hire employees. Bernie Sanders said Joe Biden was the most progressive president of modern history. Trump takes the beginning of the turnaround of our economy, getting out of COVID, inflation going down, job growth, and then he just begins to destroy it all. Trump is not a builder. I mean, we see with him knocking down the part of the White House, right? The East Wing. His inability to start constructing it again. You can knock things down pretty easily. You can knock down our economy pretty easily, as he's doing with tariffs. It's much harder to do the job growth. I mean, even with housing, this finally bipartisan, I mean, frankly, the fact that they could even find something bipartisan to do and have to do with housing and making it more affordable for people. And also what's in that bill is restricting investors from buying any more housing, because that's who's taking the housing. It's not the immigrants who are coming over. It is the portfolios. It is private equity who's buying up those houses and keeping those houses. They were going to address that too. In just a small part, they were going to address that. Of course, he doesn't sign it. He signals over and over again. He does not care about the American people. Affordability is just a hoax. Finally, some of his own supporters are waking up to it, and they're even allowing somebody to speak the truth on Fox.
If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You're a worthless pile of shit.
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
But Trump thinks he can post this picture of himself depicting Jesus, and it's just straight up blasphemy.
So now Trump and the MAGA movement have officially lost all my support.
Ooh.
Wealth inequality in our country is out of control. Frankly, the Reagan trickle-down economics was a disaster. It's not as if we've always had this inequality. It's not that long ago. Republicans act as if we tax wealthy people, then our economy will just, dry up or go away. Actually, we had the most expansive middle class in history under the most actually socialist policies, FDR with Social Security, Medicare. We grew, our economy grew because our middle class grew. And as she says, Jessica Tarlov says, the promise of America coming here as an immigrant, the promise of the American dream, Republicans want to strip that away. I'm a child of an immigrant. My father chose to come here, not because he had to, but believed in this country. And it's like my existence, my ability to come and speak here to our community is the American dream. But these Republicans, these MAGAs, they want to strip that away. They want to keep this country for the white, male, wealthy landowner Christians. And you can see that with their response to birthright citizenship. You can see it with their weird obsession saying somehow affordability is not an issue anymore. And they do see the grift and corruption of Trump, whether or not it's him, you know, with this Qatari plane or the crypto. That's the one bipartisan thing that Americans get around. Americans don't like cheaters, and he is a cheater in chief.
What's the story? The Qataris give Donald Trump a $400 million gift/bribe. Everybody, Democrats and Republicans, say, don't take it, don't take it. It's a national security threat. It also looks really bad. He's like, no, I love this thing, and I'm going to ride it to the opening of the Teddy Roosevelt Library. It's day one. I was listening to, after the Colorado primary last night, to the AG, Phil Weisner, who is going to become the governor after. And he was talking about his American story and how his mother was born in a concentration camp. And that her mother wanted to get to America because she knew that this was a place where you would be treated fairly and you would be able to succeed, which he has. He went on to clerk for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He worked for Obama, and now he's going to be governor of Colorado. And that is what people think of when they think about America, right? A place where you can be born in a concentration camp and you can get here and you can provide this kind of life for your family.
So you just disproved your own point.
I'm
you
not
said
done.
It was a bet. You said people are thinking of the Qatari jet.
Well,
and then you say, no, they're thinking about this.
No,
Make up your mind.
I have made up my mind if you'd let me just finish my sentence.
I thought you had.
No, because you cut me off. That's not actually a period. It's an interruption. They're different. The average American believes in those ideals that Weisner is talking about, and they're looking at the reality on the ground, which is that they can't afford a good living. They can't afford to provide for their kids. They can't own their homes until they're in their 40s in some cases. And they're looking at the president on the Qatari jet, who just made $2.2 billion last year. $1.4 billion.
They aren't envious liberals like you.
No, they're not envious. They're mad that the system is rigged against us and that the president
Who rigs the system?
The president.
Oh, really? How does he rig it against them? Be specific.
Okay,
How does he rig it against them? And use the Qatari jet as an example.
Well, first of all, when you think about the examples of past presidents, like putting a peanut farm in a blind trust, you know how corrupt this is. But he's rigging the system because when his stupid meme coins, for instance, they made all the money and regular investors lost their money.
How does the Qatari jet affect anybody?
How is this a tax on people?
What?
I know that this would be much more beneficial for you if these were just taxes on people, where we just take the money. He didn't put a gun to anybody's head and took money from them.
Well, who did Hunter Biden put a gun to?
He put his gun to his own.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.